The Dodgers' winning streak gets snapped. Oh my God, we're screwed. Dorian Thompson-Robinson wants to silence his critics, but the LA Times can't silence their cliches. And what is LAFC facing right now? Well, history. But I'm here to tell you, history can be a bit of a mother effer. Hi there, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is faithful Angelenos. It's August 15th, 2022. I want to start off by thanking everybody who's been continuing to support the program. I appreciate every last one of you. If you like the content that we've been putting out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's the notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we have new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. I never said I was perfect. Now, before we get to the news and notes, take a quick look at the scoreboard. Kansas City 4, Dodgers 0. Yeah, it's not a misprint. Look, the Dodgers had a 12-game winning streak. It got snapped. It was their longest winning streak since the Ford administration, okay? So they were bound to drop one at some point. Having said that, the Dodgers still have a 16-game lead in the NL West. They could lose every game for 2 weeks. The Padres could win every game for 2 weeks, and they'd still be in second place. But having said that, lost in the hoopla of the Dodgers' general awesomeness was that starting pitcher Andrew Heaney was struck by a batted ball during Saturday's game. And Dave Roberts, I will say that he expects Heaney to make his next start, but I'm just starting to wonder if Andrew Heaney has been cursed by Danhausen or something, right? I mean, the guy's been on the disabled list the injured list twice so far this year. He gets hit by a batted ball. I mean, this poor guy, he's had everything short of psoriasis and Crohn's disease. If you believe in God, as I do, go to a church and just light a candle for the man. Not to make sure he wins the World Series, but just to make sure he makes it out alive. Okay? I want to send a message to the LA Times. I do. If any of your writers type out that so-and-so is out to silence his critics, to stop his haters, to silence his doubters, have that person erase what they wrote and type out their resignation letter. You in the LA Times have a festival of books. You do not have a festival of cliches, okay? We don't need, anytime everybody assumes that they have haters. Everybody has critics. Everybody has doubters. When you tell me that so-and-so is out to silence their doubters, you are telling me squat. Nothing. The LA Times yesterday, they go to UCLA and they interview the quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And all the guy can do is write out one cliche after another. And all of it is it's not even worth reading. For example, the writer says that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is a Heisman candidate. No, he is not. I do not have a problem with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think he's a decent college quarterback. I think he has flaws that he has yet to address in the 5 years that he's been on campus. It's an unfortunate fact. I don't want the guy to fail, unless it's against USC, but I don't want the guy to fail, right? He had a great game against SC last year. The Bruins had a great year last year. They should have a good year this year. But he is not a Heisman candidate. Caleb Williams at SC has yet to throw a single pass in a game for the Trojans. They're talking him up as a Heisman candidate, not Dorian Thompson-Robinson. The other thing I have to take issue with is this idea that he can build an NFL career. Now, is it possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the guy's been there for 5 years, and he's had the same stuff going on for the first 4. Very athletic, easily pressured, not entirely accurate. In other words, he is borderline draftable. I went through about a dozen scouting reports before I decided to make this tape. And I will acknowledge that in scouting, there is groupthink. There's absolutely groupthink in scouting. But the scouting people ultimately relay the information to the people who make the draft decisions. Groupthink can kill. So, everybody is saying the same thing about this guy. Poor accuracy deep, struggles with pressure, but athletic as hell. Now, how does that translate? He's a day 3 draft pick at best. Probably 6th round. The idea is hopefully they take that raw athleticism and have the professional coaches try to coach him up a little bit so that he does something more than run the scout team, be on the practice squad. So he can have an NFL career, but don't sit there and try and say this guy's the next Lamar Jackson, because we don't have enough information to make that decision yet, okay? Now, if I were to guess about Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who again, I don't hate, I don't think he's a lousy quarterback. He's from Las Vegas. I would assume that if he doesn't get drafted, he comes up here to Vegas, tries out for the Raiders, winds up playing for the XFL Vegas team. That's my guess. I could be wrong. I didn't watch the LAFC match last night. I was on a plane, 30,000 feet. It's hard to get decent Wi-Fi up there, okay? Let alone streaming. I didn't realize that Gareth Bale and Giorgio Chiellini were benched for that game due to quote-unquote load management. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, look, they beat the daylights out of Charlotte. That was a murder death kill. But I do have to admit, especially if you're an LAFC fan, don't you just want to see them just let Bale, just let the tiger out of the cage? See what he could really do? He hasn't started a game yet, and he's been with the team for at least a month. Now again, I'm not saying LAFC has big problems. They have a 6-match winning streak. They lead the Western Conference by a country mile. But you see these little tiny things that make you wonder. Just little things, right? Like Kellen Acosta, the midfielder. He wound up saying to the press after the game that, quote, "we have a target on our back," unquote. And he's right. LAFC absolutely has a target on their back. What with being the Western Conference leader? When you are the Western Conference leader, though, it does not guarantee much. Say they get the Supporters' Shield. Well, they already have that. They won it back in 2019, and they were expecting to win the MLS Cup. Nope, didn't happen. They are chasing history. History has a way of biting people in the ass. And that's what LAFC is fighting at this moment. So, for example, out of the 26-year history of MLS, only 7 teams have won both the Supporters' Shield and the MLS Cup in the same season. The last team to do it was Toronto in 2017. And yes, if you're wondering, the Galaxy have done it twice. The only franchise to do it twice. And as a Galaxy supporter, I mean, I like to play fair with LAFC. I like to call balls and strikes. But trust me, LA Galaxy supporters are perfectly willing to remind LAFC that they haven't won a cup. So yeah, there is a target on their backs. No doubt. Julian Araujo of the Galaxy, by the way, says, quote, "I've got my head on Europe," unquote. Dude, in order to get the rest of your body to Europe, you need to keep your head back in LA first, okay? I get it. You're 21. You could, in fact, go to Europe, but you keep slacking at certain parts of the game, and it leads to bonehead decisions, which undercuts your chances of going to Europe. You might wind up going to Liga MX, but not necessarily Europe. Okay, give you an idea, if you watch Galaxy games, it's extremely frustrating to watch because the best example of Julian Araujo was last week when they played up in Minnesota. The Galaxy fight back, they're down 3-0, they bring it to win 3-2. Julian Araujo gives the ball right in front of the Galaxy net, boom, 4-2, thanks for coming. And then after giving away arguably the stupidest goal in the Galaxy season, he boards a plane to go to the MLS All-Star game. Europe will demand consistency from your defense. You don't have that yet. I'm not saying you can't play defense. You don't have the necessary consistency. USC coach Lincoln Riley said he's not surprised that boosters want to open an NIL collective, but he's optimistic student body right can coexist with the USC created Boulevard. And all I can say in response to that is, you're supposed to say that. What made anybody think Lincoln Riley was going to say otherwise? Does he want to piss off the boosters? Hell no. Does he want to piss off his bosses at SC? Hell no, twice. I mean, I get it, coach. I do. I don't know how optimistic we should be about that. Boosters can be pretty aggressive. We've mentioned a couple of USC players missing practice during training camp. Here's a player that missed spring ball but is back in for training camp and has been turning heads. Wide receiver CJ Williams. Now, he was originally recruited. He was the number 73 player in the country back in the class of 2022. So now he's getting snaps with the first team offense. According to Lincoln Riley, Williams, quote, is what we hoped and expected he would be, unquote. So in other words, if true, the USC locker room for wide receivers is going to be bursting at the seams, as if they didn't need another weapon on offense. There's a list of remaining free agents in the NBA. And I've mentioned this before, but it's just interesting to me. It's littered with ex-Lakers and ex-Clippers. Now, none of these guys are starters, in my opinion, but I would be curious to see how much is left in the tank with Carmelo Anthony, Lou Williams, Eric Bledsoe, Avery Bradley, DeMarcus Cousins, Dennis Schrader. I mean, the list keeps going. I got more. Isaiah Thomas, Dwight Howard, Montrezl Harrell. Harrell is only 28 years old. He's in his physical prime. Still a free agent. Now, I'm not sitting there. You know how like sometimes sports writers will be like, oh, you compile a list of these free agents. You put yourself on a good team. No, you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. But I'm not sure all of them are completely useless to the NBA either. By the way, the Lakers will play Golden State on opening night. They'll be watching NoCal get their championship rings, which frankly kind of sucks until you recall that it's the lesser of two evils. The other option was Boston, and we cannot have that. Can't have it. So that's the pain that happens when you don't put together championship teams. Bus family. Quick note before I get out of here. Something that's actually pretty popular on the channel with Galaxy fans is I do things called rapid recaps after Galaxy matches. Couldn't do the one from last night's game. Again, I was flying back home. But if things go right, I will be adding rapid recaps during both college football and the NFL season. In other words, if I have the opportunity to do so, squeezing it in with my work schedule, I will be adding rapid recaps for USC, for UCLA, and certainly the Chargers and your world's champion Rams. So I'm very happy about that. I'm glad the rapid recaps are popular. I'm looking to expand. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast of Faithful Angelenos, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are trying to build something here for LA Sports. I'm James. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Quian Corta El Queso production. Take care.